Hey everybody, welcome back to Taste of Victory. It is time for Booster Set 7 on the channel, and we got a second place deck profile for you guys from the tournament Ivy Leagues that happened in the main Discord server. Llama came in second, and he's going to go ahead and show us his Blue Hybrids MagnaGarurumon build. You want to take it away, Llama?
Alright, so just to start off simple, you know, your 4 eggs, your Upamons. You just want to draw cards, you need to be able to see as many hybrids as you can, since MagnaGaru, or Koji for that matter, requires hybrids from hand to use his warp. So you want to use Upamon just to, you know, draw cards and get all those cards that you need. And this specific build, you're going to be able to trigger the Upamon a lot more frequently because you actually do run cards that Source Strip. Going into the rookies, it's super simple. It's just 12 Strabis, right? You've got the BT4 Strabi, which searches out your tamers and your hybrid pieces, and you've got the BT7 Strabi, which digs a little bit deeper. If you like really need to find one specific card, whether it's your Koji or your Magna or like a specific level. And then the other Strabi from BT6, when attacking, if you have hybrid or 10 warriors in the type, gain 1 memory. You just run it because they're all hybrids. You don't really want to run other rookies because that can hurt your consistency when activating your hybrid related effects, like MagnaGaru, Beowolf, Koji, stuff like that. And then going into the champions, running 11 champions, you've got 3 Kumamon, 4 KendoGarurumon from BT7, and 4 Korikakumon. 3 Kumamon is just to help the Source Strip game plan. It's just the same thing. It's basically the same card as Lobomon. 2 to evolve, and 5 to play. But it helps a little bit more than Lobomon in this specific deck, so that's why we run it. Next is 4 KendoGaru, 3 to evolve over level 3s, 1 to evolve over level 4s, and 2 to evolve over tamers. When you digivolve it over a hybrid or a Koji, it gains jamming for the turn, which is really strong with cards like Beowolfmon from BT7, because you get to swing with jamming. And in general, just having jamming swings is good, and again, it's just a hybrid that you want to have in your deck. Next up is Korikaku, which I think is one of the more interesting cards of the deck. Basically the same stat line, or the exact same stat line as KendoGarurumon, but instead his effect is when digivolving, if you have a hybrid or Himi in its sources, one of your opponent's Digimon without Digivolution cards gets stunned for the turn. This card is really good. Right, you can Source Strip with Sora Joe or with Kumamon and stun important targets, stun, like, stave off lethal, or swing over blockers to have lethal. Korikakumon came up a bunch, digivolving, even going like Korikaku over Korikaku to stun more stuff, and just be able to put a lot more pressure by stunning stuff and, you know, just locking down their board, which is always good. In the level 5s, you've got the 2 of the old BT4 Beowulfmon, 4 of the BT7 Beowulfmon, and a little spicy card, 2 of BT7 Aldamon. So starting with the Beowulfs, the jamming Beowulf is good, just like as an early pressure card, and is also just good as a MagnaGarurumon restand target. It just lets you get chip damage, and since like all your cards are hybrids, unless you hard slam it, you're gonna have a hybrid in source, so it can't be attacked over, which just makes it a pain for a lot of decks to remove. Next up is the BT7 Beowulf, which is a really good card. If you have a tamer in source, the cost to digivolve is reduced by 2, so it's a 1-cost evo, which is really strong. And then when attacking, return a hybrid in source to return a level 4 lower Digimon from your opponent's hand. This effect came up a bunch, just bouncing like important rookies or blockers or stuff, and just in general clearing board is always good to, you know, just to deal with your opponent's board, while also advancing your own board state and your own like win con by attacking security. And the cool thing about this deck is how much it reuses its resources. So with Beowolfmon, you get to add the cards back to hand and stuff, so you can always keep up that hybrid count for the MagnaGarurumon, which is really cool. So you never really run out of resources. And then to finalize the ultimates 2 of the BT7 Aldamon, right? It might seem super out of place, and the reason you run it is because of its inheritable. While this Digimon is hybrid or 10 warriors, option cards checked by this Digimon do not activate their security effects. The reason we run it, or the way we can run it, is because Koji's effect to warp or to place 5 hybrids from your hand under the Koji to go into Magna isn't once per turn, or not, sorry, not isn't once per turn, isn't color restricted.
Yeah.
So you can actually put Aldamon underneath MagnaGarurumon and it'll work. And it's just a way to play around security control or just options off security in general. And then next up is our Megas, which is just the 4 MagnaGarurumon. It's like the only Mega you really want to see. Card is when Digivolving or when attacking once per turn, return a Digimon with hybrid in its sources or in this Digimon's sources to hand to return one of your opponent's Digimon with the same level as that card. And then once per turn, when your hand is increased by an effect, unsuspend one of your Digimon. This card is just really good, especially because you can cheat it out through the Koji warp. But it's just really good at dealing with your opponent's board. And also just getting multiple attacks. You get like a bunch of value off of going into Magna, and it's just a really, really good card in general. And then yeah, that's pretty much it for the Digimon. Some people like to run the Ancient Garurumon package, but I personally don't like it just because of the fact that it kind of takes away. I feel like it kind of splits your deck into 2 separate strategies, which is aggro your opponent down, and then use Magna to kind of control board and maintain pressure. But overall, but yeah, I mean, you can run it if you want, but I don't think you need it. That's one weakness though of this build is only having 1 Mega, so it's hard to do stuff if you don't see it. But that's why you run a bunch of searchers, so you don't always struggle with that. Going into the options, we run 1 copy of Starlight Velocity. Main effect, play a tamer Digimon with hybrid in its traits from one of your Digimon's Digivolution sources as a tamer or another Digimon without paying its memory cost. And then Starlight Velocity, or sorry, security effect, play a Koji from your hand or trash without paying its memory cost. This card is super, super good. It's essentially just Kaiser Nail, but you can play out tamers. You can do a lot of funny plays with it, like Magna Warp, and then Starlight Velocity. You can play out like a Magna again if you had it, if you shoved it under the Magna already. Or you can just do stuff by like playing out another Davis or reusing your Kojis or your Sorajos, which is a general very versatile card and is really helpful off security because you can play a Koji. It only came up like once or twice in the tournament, but it still feels like a not bad inclusion. But it's definitely something you can cut if you want to, since it's only at 1 copy. Then for the options, 4 copies of Ice Wall because this card is very dumb.
It's broken, yeah.
Main effect, all of your opponent's Digimon gain when attacking, lose 2 memory until the end of your opponent's next turn. Interesting point is that this does affect Digimon that aren't even in play. So if your opponent brings out a Raising or Digivolves over a Tamer into a hybrid, they're still under the effect of Ice Wall. So it's just a great way of not dying. And then security effect is gain 2 memory. Ice Wall saved me like most of the games I played just because I was able to protect something because they'd be afraid of passing turn and then just dying, or just like not dying because I played Ice Wall to stop how many attacks they have.
Yeah.
And then going into the Tamers, 3 Davis is just your blue memory tamer. Also helps search out your pieces. It's just really important to have a memory tamer because your 3 memory plays are actually like plenty, right? You've got your Strabis to play. You've got your what's it called? You've got your champions into Beowulf to play, or you know, just digivolving your champions over rookies as well if you need to. Just overall a good card, and again, searches your pieces, so it's just a great consistency boost.
Yep.
Next up, Sora Joe. Since I was playing Source Strip, I decided to test the Sora Joe because obviously they help you Source Strip and they give you a bunch of memory. But the card never came up when I was playing. It was essentially just like a vanilla tamer. It would strip sources sometimes, but like since you're not all in on the Source Strip strategy, your opponent can play around it relatively easily, and it really didn't help at all. I'd definitely rather run the new Tommy, because it strips 3 on play, and it has incredible synergy with Korikaku, because you can digivolve the Tommy into Korikaku, stun something, and then swing and stun something else with the Tommy inheritable, which is just really, really strong. So I definitely suggest running that over the Sword Joes, because like the memory just never came up, and like just having the Source Strip available also didn't really come up at all. And then finally for Koji, I mean, this is just like the main tamer of the deck. Right, once per turn, place 5 cards with hybrid and their traits from your hand under this tamer, in any order to digivolve into a MagnaGarurumon in your hand for its digivolution cost, as if his tamer is a level 5 blue Digimon. And the inheritable, when an effect adds a card to your hand, gain a memory, then this Digimon can't be blocked for the turn. And then obviously security, and then it's just really, really good. Oh, yeah, and then obviously the security effects play this card without paying its memory cost, as most tamers have. Yeah, that's just like Koji is just your main tamer. You want to be able to cheat into MagnaGaruru, because it's just a really strong effect, and if you can get it off early, it basically just seals the game, because you just stop your opponent's progress and instantly go up into a Mega in the same process, which is just really, really strong. And using Koji's effect also lets you do stuff like bouncing Megas with MagnaGarurumon. We don't have any level 7 hybrids, so obviously we can't bounce level 7s, which is a weakness of this deck. But I think bouncing level 6s for the most part does enough for the deck. And then going into... So yeah, that's the deck as a whole. Changes I'd make are, yeah, the Tommies over the Sora Joes. And then maybe running more level 4s to digivolve for your tamers and stuff isn't a bad idea at all. But I like the deck where it's at for the most part. I think it's really good, and I think the Aldamon tech is really strong, especially if security control is popular.
Yeah, it's a really fun tech.
Yep. Going into the matchups, round 1 played against a Dorugorumon, or essentially just like black antibody. The matchup felt pretty easy because it was a super like heavy 1-stack deck. So if you were able to draw your 2 Magnas and Koji, you could just like get rid of their Dorugora and then just kind of, you know, reset their progress. And that's basically what I did. And I also just played very aggressively. Right, so just playing on a bunch of bodies and just consistently swinging, because they would struggle to keep up. And then if they went up into a Doragora, just, yeah, MagnaGaru to punish it, and then you just keep swinging at security until they're dead. Game 2 was against Kazuchimon, which was a bit more of a struggle, because Kazuchimon is a great comeback card, because it recovers all the way up to 3, so if they're at 0, then instead of having 1 more attack to win the game, you need like 4 more attacks. Which is just like really annoying, but eventually, like, just like with enough pressure and with clearing the board a bunch, you know, just making sure your opponent didn't have a board, really helped that matchup. But yeah, it's just really strong deck. But yeah, if you're able to just keep bouncing their stuff, it's not as bad. Then round 3 was against Dark Knightmon D Brigade. This matchup was actually a bit stressful because MagnaGaruru struggles a bit against like super rush heavy decks, because, you know, you want to take time to like find your pieces and get out your tamers and stuff, and against a rush deck you don't actually have that much time. But this deck specifically was really good into it because of the Korikakumons. So you were able to punish the like hard slam rookies, and then, you know, just try and go from there and just kill them before they kill you. Also, most of your swings with like your champions and above are relatively safe because you're not going to be dying a lot. And Magna's weakness of struggling to clear level 6s and 7s didn't really come up because, I mean, they were just playing like level 5 and lower, unless there was like a Dark Dramon. So you were able to just put a lot of pressure out really easily.
Yeah.
And just overwhelm them. And then the final game, which I lost, was against Dynasmon Hybrids, which is or I don't know if it's like that popular, but it's seen a couple of wins in Japan, where essentially you play Dynasmon with the hybrid support, so a bunch of tamers, and then Kazumon, Sylphimon, and Jet Sylphimon to kind of stabilize, and you can run the purple option, the new purple option, to level 5 or lower for every hybrid and tamer you have in play. The reason that matchup was a bit of a struggle was because it just had so much recovery. So, you know, you try and like push attacks, but it'd be hard to deal with. And in those games specifically, I couldn't find my MagnaGarurumons, so I couldn't find enough Magna, so I couldn't get rid of their Dynasmon, which just made it a lot more annoying to go in because they could recover each time I attacked, which just made it very, very annoying to try to get through. And then eventually, I just got run over because they just kept recovering. I don't think I ever got my opponent to drop below like 3 security, just because of how much heal in the Dynasmon and stuff made it really, really tough.
Yeah, definitely. I've been seeing shine variations of that deck, and they're insane with all that healing.
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. Well, glad you had still a great run. You know, second place is super respectable. Glad you had a good time. This deck list is awesome, and thanks for coming on to share it with us, Llama. If there's any closing thoughts you want to go ahead and give, you know, feel free to.
MagnaGaruru is just a really fun deck, and people should try it out because it's a lot of fun to play.
Definitely. Awesome. Well, thanks for watching, everyone, and thanks for coming on, Llama. I'll see you guys soon with more BT7 content. And until then, remember to stay hungry until you get a taste of victory.